Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to Time of Today. If you have been following Time of Today on social media, you'll see there are some changes being made. I am trying to really reflect what I'm trying to put out with everything, and I felt like that started at the nomenclature as well. Time of Today is totally not going to be thrown out with the bathwater, essentially, but I would like to incorporate both Time of Today with the new name. Definitely follow the accounts on both Instagram and TikTok for the Lowdown Skinnies that will be coming up in relation to the naming and everything. And thank you so much again. So because of technical difficulties, I have to basically do the reads this way for the full moon in Aquarius that's happening August 11th. I think it's actually a cool approach to reading, so I really hope that you enjoy it. And without further ado, be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and enjoy this video. Let's go ahead and dive in. So flowing right along, for these reads, I decided to go with the Celtic cross format with a little twist. On this left side of the Celtic cross, this is the universal energy, the universal impact that is happening around the full moon in Aquarius. And it'll sort of give an overview of what to focus on. So with that being said, I'd like to just go through each of the cards and their placements and let you know what is going on. So starting with the center card, we got number 15, the Devil, or in this deck, the shadow side. And to me, what this card is all about is, coming up against odds, having to face toxic situations and make decisions, and dealing with coming in touch with the darker sides of reality. And I feel like that is a very real potential at this time. There's a massive change happening. We're getting into the school year. Summer is more than halfway over now, and we're having to gear up for the winter, essentially, in our hearts, minds, and realities. In this card, we see two individuals hiding from the shadowed figure, and I feel in this read that the reason that this is in the center is because when we have all of these challenges coming at us, we oftentimes can find ourselves resorting to go back into a state of fear or a state of almost entrapment and feeling stuck between a rock and a hard place. However, crossing this shadow side devil is number 9, the Hermit, another major arcana card, which is big energy to pay attention to. And with the Hermit coming out, crossing the devil, source and energy is really pushing us to recognize who we are and what we want and why we're doing the things that we do in the first place, and why this opposition that we're experiencing frustrates us so. This opposition that we may be facing may be what highlights for us the reason in our actions, our thoughts, and the way that we engage with others. The image on the Hermit card shows an elder, potentially and probably very wise person who is standing on this cliff with waves crashing all around them. And I believe that this is a message that is being sent through the cards for this read to let us know to expect rough times in our lives and to remember that there will be rough times, but just like the Hermit is holding this lantern with the light shining in it, there is light to move us forward. There is hope ahead, and The full moon in Aquarius is pushing us to find that light and follow it. And underneath these two first cards, we have the Seven of Cups reversed in the foundational energy slot. So the foundational energy slot tends to be the energy we find ourselves going back to, potentially where in our childhood or in our former years, we found ourselves in this energy quite a bit. So it's familial, or familiar rather. And so with this Seven of Cups reverse, it's very in line with the first two cards that came out. I would say the person on this cup looks similar to that of the gentleman in the Hermit card, but we'll come back to that. The Seven of Cups being reversed themselves is saying that we may be feeling hopeless, we may be feeling choiceless, we may be feeling depleted of options. And that's just a very real, very raw feeling to come back to at this time of opposition that we may be facing, or that we may find ourselves facing in the recent future. With this hermit-looking character that shows up in the Seven of Cups, it reminds us that forward movement is important. Forward thinking is important. Even in this position, and with the card coming out this way, understanding that we're not at the end of the road in our endeavors and our sights that we set is important to achieve and accomplish whatever we're setting out to do. Even if those things we're setting out to pursue and accomplish are as seemingly simple as continuing acts of self-love or rebalancing our lives. Next, we have number 2, the High Priestess in the Major Arcana. This is the third Major Arcana in this part of the read. So that's pretty intense. That's really hefty energy, like a major push of energy that is looking to be seen, looking to be taken in and honored. So the High Priestess, as you can see, she is very regal. She is very focused and she is very poised. The High Priestess represents fruitfulness. The High Priestess represents balance. The High Priestess represents self-assuredness and has constant recognition of who she is and her divinity. Okay? I think that we have to recognize how divine we are. I love this sort of, well, it's a fact, but it's a meme type of deal where it's like, you know, of all the possibilities that came in the result of your conception, which there are thousands, if not millions of possibilities, you are the one who is here now. You are the one who made it out. And that in itself is a testament of a divine occurrence and a divine being. It can also be said that the High Priestess is very calculated. She's very educated and she knows her stuff. So with this card coming out in this position, the message is imploring us to tap into the things that we know and to immerse ourselves into a state of being educated for the things that we don't. This is a factor that could aid us when it comes to staying balanced when faced with opposition or challenge. This card that's in the crown of this portion of the Celtic cross is the Wheel of Fortune, or in this deck, the Wheel of the Year. This crown position represents the overall energy of the time period being reflected in this read. With this card showing up in this position, it tells me that though we may feel like we're at a crux or a difficult spot, we have the resources at our advantage and at our fingertips to designate and propel momentum in a direction. Just like a standard wheel, though, there are two directions to go, forward or backward. So it's really up to us, individually and collectively, to contribute energy toward the direction that we wish for our lives to go. This card is the fourth major arcana that shows up in this side of the Celtic cross. And just like the other cards that showed up earlier in this read, the Hermit and the Seven of Cups, I would say that the energy of this reading is urging us to choose that forward direction. This Wheel of the Year iteration of the Wheel of Fortune in the standard tarot from Rider-Waite is very special in this deck, and it reminds me definitely of the Magician energy. You can see here, at least at the top, it's kind of hard to make out at the bottom, but toward the left corner there's a cup, the right corner, the top right corner there's a pentacle, the bottom left corner there's a wand, and the bottom right corner there's a sword. So that sort of connotes having all the resources at your disposal and urges us to keep in mind that we have this sense of being an alchemist at our disposal whenever we need to tap into that, which we are able to tap into and utilize those skills that we've garnered in our lives and apply them accordingly, which again can aid greatly in problem solving and coming into a place of feeling conflicted. Going into the final placement for the side of the Celtic cross, we have the future. And that can be the recent future. The Five of Wands reversed came up for this. And it's sensible for the rest of the read, definitely, that it would come up. With the Five of Wands reversed coming up in this position, there are multiple aspects from this card that stick out. Namely that of the dragons on this card. There are 1, 2, 3, potentially 4, or 4 definitely dragons in this card. I'm going to come back to the number 4 in not too long, but be sure to stick around to see how the number 4 relates to this read as well. But the dragons are an aspect that came up in the live reads that I recently did. So this definitely makes me feel like there's some potent, strong energy that we may feel that we have to defend ourselves against right now, in the recent future possibly. Again, we have the resources we need to attack and encounter this energy head on. Emphasis on head because that is our cognitive center. And this read has a lot nodding at that aspect and of garnering knowledge, using knowledge, understanding, and things of that nature going forward to conquer anything that we come up against or that comes up against us. With the Five of Wands being here, it's also saying to me that yes, things will be challenging. As I always like to say and probably overuse this phrase, life is a series of processes. It's always ebbing and flowing. You cannot get the flow without the ebb, which is that sense of turbulence, that sense of conflict, that sense of complication. Again, when we find ourselves in this situation or in these situations that present these aspects, knowing that we have what it takes to conquer and knowing that we have what it takes to figure out how to conquer is going to be pivotal. There's no doubt about it. But it's a matter of understanding when to defend yourself, when it's time to defend ourselves, and when it's more or less time to retreat. The energy from the Five of Wands is definitely conveying a sense of utilizing resources. As we move into part 2, remember to share, subscribe, like, and comment. Welcoming Cardinal energy. Hello, Divine Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, and Libra. Flowing right along, we're going to start with Cardinals. These are your cards that came out for this read to convey where you're at potentially at this time of the full moon in Aquarius. Cardinal signs, it seems like you may be experiencing a lot of exhaustion or burnout after a major upheaval or even a slight upheaval. It may have just been exhausting, okay? And I see that you are being pushed to be patient. You are potentially taking a step back so that you can do some introspection and make your next steps forward very strategic and very careful. While in this period of patience and pause, essentially, remember that it's tremendously healthy to take these breaks and to exercise this patience with ourselves and our loved ones. Also, it's extra important to remain patient when encountering challenging thoughts, which this Eight of Swords can certainly convey. The Eight of Swords is in the place of how you're showing up to a situation, okay? And it goes right into the Ace of Wands reverse, which is how others may be influencing or impacting your energy in this given time. When this first came out, the immediate thought I had was cardinal signs are definitely blind to the BS right now. And I feel that is bringing others into your life who are attracted to that energy and want to multiply that energy. With the moon popping up in the area of complications and possible challenges continued, it's saying when it comes to you not trusting your intuition, that is where you will find conflict continued. It looks like, according to the final cards for the outcome that come out, being the Eight of Cups and reversed, and the Five of Swords, that cardinal signs, you're going to find yourself gravitating to things that allow you to harness your energy into uplifting and equally grounding energies that will support you going forward. Additionally, the read is conveying the importance of understanding how divine you are at all times. Do not feed into loveless and low vibrational energy. Be sure to protect yourself energetically and trust the process. Thank you, Divine, dear Cardinals. That is the message that I have for you. Please enjoy this full moon in Aquarius period. Now welcoming fixed energy. Thank you, Divine Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. I hope y'all are doing well and that this reading serves you through this period of the full moon in Aquarius and its energy. These are the cards that came out to convey the fixed energy during this time period of the full moon in Aquarius. So, getting right into it, fixed energy is showing up very strong, very brave, and very comforting. With the Strength card coming up in this position, we are in the midst of Leo season, which is modeled by that of the lion, which appears in the Strength card. Another aspect of this card is the infinity sign. August is the 8th month. Infinity's symbol is 8 on its side. So it's very relative. So you may, by the Strength card showing up in this position, which is that of how your energy is influencing your reality, it shows me that you may be used to showing up as this powerhouse, and energies and people are drawn to you because of that, as we see in the next position with the Two of Cups. There is this sense of expanded, comforting comfort that is present here, and it is being honored by both you and the energy that you're surrounding yourself by. Honestly, this is a very powerful position and a very powerful card to show up as in this position. Now going into the next card and the next position, we have the Two of Cups showing up in the area of how other outside external energy may influence your energy, and it's a very cooperative, very uplifting, very eye-to-eye type of energy, an endearing energy that we're seeing with the Two of Cups coming up in this position. This to me expresses really focusing on enriching, mutually supportive relationships. Both the Two of Cups does and the Strength card does. This is a fantastic energy to carry you through any trials and tribulations that you may face, as well as to just keep you in your energy in a positive manner. It really seems as if the supportive energy is really going to be key for the constitution and propulsion of any forward movements that you will have with the next two cards coming up. In the next position for the cards, which represents conflicts and possible continued complications, we have the King of Swords reversed. The King of Swords is a stern and defensive ruler who can be said to always be ready for war. The King of Swords is one who is quick-witted, vigilant. Some may say divisive with the way that he directs and the way that he conducts his kingdom and his constituents, if you will. With the King of Swords coming out reversed for this portion of the read, I'm saying that a concern may be you not being able to harness your power, not being able to honor your power like the lion does in the Strength card. The King of Swords cannot be humbled, I feel like, a saying. And with the King of Swords coming out reversed for this section, I would advise you to just be super mindful with the way that you conduct situations, relationships, even the way that you're speaking and thinking to yourself. It's super important to be on P's and Q's when it comes to that as we go through our life, really, but definitely through this full moon in Aquarius period. Finally, in this final position for outcome, we have the Hanged Man. With the person or subject in this card, we see them hanging upside down from a tree, their foot wrapped around in a rope, and also being reinforced around their waist, potentially. So this again brings up that sense of support. Again, we have another companion type of animal. Crows are definitely great companions. They're very cunning. So that would attribute to also this person in the Hanged Man. Whatever your experience is from this time period and this full moon in Aquarius, it seems that you'll come out more strongly supported, more strongly minded, and more confident. That is the reading for the fixed energy. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was some very lovely fixed energy for this very fixed time period. Please enjoy this full moon in Aquarius. Welcome, mutable energies. Thank you, Divine Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Virgo. So I totally forgot to mention this in the other reads, but this is a part 2 of a Celtic Cross read. Part 1, the timestamps for it will be in the description box below this video on YouTube. Well, getting right into it, here are your cards. All right, flowing right along, mutable energy. We are going to look at the first 2 cards, which represent the mutable energy and the influence of the mutable energy at this time. We've got the 2 of Pentacles reversed with the Ace of Cups. This speaks of shifts in perspective and what we're focusing on, or how we're focusing on something. As you can see in the 2 of Pentacles, or maybe you might not because the pixelation and everything, but in the 2 of Pentacles, this individual is choosing to turn their back to this abundant body of water that flows behind them, and instead is focusing on these pentacles, which could be focusing on resources, focusing on money, focusing on how to make money, make magic, and things of that nature. Because this act of juggling in the way that they are is giving me a lot of magical vibes. With that coming out alongside with the Ace of Cups, it's showing me that the focus is shifting from that of maybe being concerned about money and being concerned about resources to allowing our energy to become like that of water and to flow and to trust that there will be abundance that comes from that. Whether that's monetary abundance, abundance in knowledge, abundance in skill, or anything, recognizing that there is purpose in everything that we have done and everything that we're doing. Even with this shift happening, recognizing that there will be abundance that comes from it. Some of your decisions and choices at this time may come off as confusing or neglectful, or like you're giving up to others, with this 8 of Cups reverse showing up in the way that others' energy may impose or influence your energy at this time. This 8 of Cups reversed in this position is also showing me that you are being trusted at this time, and to be careful with the way that you navigate as well during this period of the full moon in Aquarius into potentially the next 2 or 3 moon phases. With the moon card showing up and potential complications and challenges continued, for you mutable signs, it's important that you trust your intuition. It's important that during the full moon in Aquarius, that you approach everything with love and confidence, being led by those aspects as opposed to fear and the thought of naivety. Things may seem unstable and you may feel insecure at times, but know that each of these moments with the 7 of Wands reversed are opportunities for us to challenge our perspectives and reinvigorate our flow with life. It is time to recognize our limitless potential and eliminate doubt and anguish by this process of reestablishment and rebalancing, coming from absolute love. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching the entirety of the video. I hope you have an amazing experience of this full moon in Aquarius. Be sure to comment, subscribe, and like, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.